4th of September last year. And then I couldn't get hold of anybody. The Monday contacted them. But once I started Googling, there's no, I got all these Hello Peter reviews on how people would scam just like me. Bottom line, I realized that they put me on Jet review without my consent, with using that signature. They populated this Form 16.
Shireen, I mean, the patterns seem to be very similar, and a number of people keep saying, well, the National Credit Regulator needs to get involved in trying to sort these out. Shireen, I'm really sorry that you've been dragged into this really appalling mess, and I think it's fair to say, people like yourself ought to get more protection from this. We'll keep at this story. It's 9 minutes to 5.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
So, a very interesting story that I read on Daily Maverick. Joy Watson is the author, and it's about a forensic nurse. Now, I must admit, this is a job title that I'm not at all familiar with, but it's an interview with someone called Nontuthuzelo Ntwana, who talks about 2 decades that she spent working with survivors of rape and assault, and helping them to, first of all, just get a sense of themselves and try and give them some of the dignity that's been so brutally taken away. But then, crucially, setting about the process of recording important things, J88 medical legal forms, collecting DNA, documenting injuries, and so on. The point of this story, apart from the a representation of the extraordinary work that Nontuthuzelo does, is the fact that she is one of only 2 full-time forensic nurses in the Western Cape. Given the scale of GBV, that is an extraordinary statistic. What makes it worse is, as budgets for medical services are being cut, she's in danger of losing her job. So let's understand the bigger picture here, and we ask these questions in the light of Friday's announcement that there would be that gender-based violence has been declared a national state of disaster. Is that going to work if we are actually stripping away some of the key architecture that ought to make things better for people? My guest is Renelle E. Stevens, Program Director and Acting Executive Director at an organization called Mosaic, which is engaged with these issues and trying to get a better service for South Africa's violated and abused women. Ms. Stevens, welcome, and thanks very much for giving us your time. What's going on there? Why do we firstly have so few forensic nurses, given how crucial the work seems to be? And secondly, why aren't we setting about trying to get more rather than cutting those jobs? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Yes, doing well, thanks. Hope you're well.
Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. I mean, that's a very big question that you're asking, and one that I also very recently came into. And so maybe just for full context, and the reason why I'm on this call is that Sister Ntwana was actually one of our forensic nurses, and she has worked at a site in Mitchell's Plain. To tell you the truth, the reason why there aren't as many forensic nurses is actually still something that's quite troubling to me. But I do think that it's a matter of what is available and where one can actually study to further your qualification, not just as a registered nurse, but as a specific forensic nurse. I think that it's a skill that is really, really sought after. We felt that we were extremely lucky being able to find Sister Ntwana, especially since we wanted to open a forensic, unit at a TCC in Mitchell's Plain, just because of the mere need for it. But also the fact that, at the time we didn't have a doctor that could help us open a 24-hour service. And so having the forensic nurse meant that she was able to perform a lot of similar duties, but also at a rate that is affordable, and also being someone who has done this work and not have had a permanent job ever since she had started her role. It made sense for us to have her come on board as our program, as part of the Mosaic's program and offering.
So let's hear about the work that she does. I've described it in its bare terms, but maybe you can give us a sense, Ms. Stevens, of just how crucial the work she does is at the moment when somebody who's been violated, traumatized, feels extremely vulnerable actually needs not only a service, but a service given in a particular way.
Yeah, with absolute care. Sister Ntwana is probably the gentlest person that you'll meet. I don't know if that photo is actually just giving you a good sense about that, but the role of the forensic nurse is one that will also be similar for a doctor, forensic doctor. And essentially what that means is that a survivor would come to the Thuthuzela Care Center. They'll be met by a first responder. A first responder is someone who is trained to do containment, so be able to get a client to a space where they are able to share what had happened and to explain to them what will be happening in the Thuthuzela space itself. The Thuthuzela Care Center, as you may know, is set up to be a one-stop center where a survivor can get all the care that they need in that immediate moment. So it is in containment, it is the medical forensic examination, it is a shower, it is something to eat, it is the medication that is life-saving, and then also to open up a case without having to leave the center. And the promise is that that all happens within a 2-hour period, which again is in most senses unheard of, but it is a service that is available in South Africa. And where the forensic nurse particularly comes in, her role is to be able to do that very sensitive probing examination, a medical examination that will be used as forensic evidence should a case be opened on the day, later on, if it's not something that the survivor immediately wants to be able to do.
Right.
But it is untampered information or evidence that will be used in a court of law and that will actually hold as evidence. So it's quite a crucial role that you absolutely need to be trained for. You need to understand what the rape kit needs to actually be measuring, what probes you need to be able to capture, and also what needs to happen as a next step from the medical forensic examination.
Thank you so much, Renelle E. Stevens, Program Director, Acting Executive Director at an organization out in Mitchell's Plain called Mosaic. And it really does raise questions. I know we're talking about an individual, but the fact that there are just 2 forensic nurses for the whole of the Western Cape would suggest there is a weakness there. And it brings into focus the conversation we started having on Friday, that what does it actually mean to declare gender-based violence as a national state of disaster if you do that on the one hand and resources for actually dealing with the consequences of GBV are shrinking all the time. Maybe you've got a view on this, maybe you've got direct experience to share with us. Give us a call, 072-702-1702, 2 minutes to 5.
In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
One body has been recovered from a river in KwaZulu-Natal as a search for 2 more missing people continued. The victims were washed away yesterday during floods in New Hanover in the Midlands.
The teams are working to recover one body, that of a female that is entrapped in the river. The MEC for Copter, Reverend Butelezi, has assured the residents that disaster management teams will work right throughout the clock to ensure that those that are missing are recovered.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. When you train for results, you don't quit halfway. Stay on the growth track and earn up to 7.87% interest at maturity with a 12-month electronic fixed deposit account. Lock in for maximum growth and enjoy guaranteed returns without monthly fees. Hashtag Get Money Fit with Nedbank. Visit nedbank.co.za. See money differently. Nedbank. We're licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
This festive, when your family gathers, feed them the Nando's Festive Fill-Up meal. Feed Auntie, who's in charge of the key to that storeroom. And feed that niece that makes the strict grandparents do TikTok challenges. And that cousin that watches the same movie that comes in part 1, 2, 3, 4, and many more. Yeah, you can feed it too. Gather them all for the Nando's Festive Fill-Up meal for only $3.99. Eat at Nando's and pay 40 rand less. Nando's, oh, what a place.
You are not dreaming